Get ready for 50 core exercises, starting with variations of the plank. For the first exercise, we're going to do the normal forearm plank. You're going to try to keep your body as straight as a plank. Flex your core and look down to keep your spine straight. Next, for the straight arm plank, you're going to extend your arms and do the exact same thing. This is a little bit easier than the normal forearm plank. For plank saws, you're going to get back into the forearm plank position, but you're going to rotate forward and back. You can see most of the work is done with my feet. This is a great way to psychologically break the monotony of a normal forearm plank. Next is spider planks. And you're going to space your hands and your feet out. And you're going to try to hold your core steady and tight and keep your spine flat. For the single leg plank, you're going to raise one of your legs while keeping the rest of your body level. This also adds in a bit of a leg exercise because you have to keep that leg still up in the air. Sally ups add a little bit of cardio to your plank, where you go between the straight arm and forearm plank while keeping your body nice and straight and trying not to rotate your shoulders too much as you're going up and down out of the planks. The walking plank is done from a straight arm plank position, and here you get to keep your body a little bit less straight and bend at the hips a little bit in order to walk. The plank with a shoulder tap is exactly as it sounds. You're going to tap each shoulder nice and slowly on the opposite side. For the reverse plank, you're going to get down on your forearms but on the opposite side, and you're going to do basically a bridge, except instead of laying on your back, you're going to lay on the bottom of your forearms. This again is going to get your legs involved in the exercise and challenge your body to use core in a different position. Ins and outs are one of the hardest core exercises because they add a lot of cardio to your exercise. You're going to be moving your feet in and out as you stay in a straight arm plank position. Mountain climbers are another hard one, and you can do this from a forearm or straight arm position. If you're doing a forearm position, you want to make sure you kick your knees out into the side and make sure you don't raise your hips too much. The side plank is a great way to target your obliques. You're going to lay on your forearm, keeping your body straight. I like to put one foot in front of the other to keep myself more stable and be able to do the side plank for the entire time. Make sure you're not leaning forward or back. And the straight arm side plank is the exact same. You're going to balance just on your hand and keep that straight side plank form. The side plank with hip tap is another great one for your obliques. You're going to gently touch your hip down onto the mat or floor as you go in and out of the side plank position. This one can get tiring pretty fast, so I like to do half my time on one side and half on the other. For thread the needle, you're going to twist out of the side plank position and touch your back on the other side. You want to try to reach as far as you can with your hand to really get a twist motion in and sort of go into a one-arm, forearm plank position towards the end. Again, I like to keep my feet stacked in front of each other to make sure I have more stability, since this is an exercise with a lot of movement. Hip taps, again, add a little bit of variety to your classic forearm plank. You're going to, again, gently touch each side of your hip to the floor as you maintain a forearm plank position. You'll want to adjust your toes every once in a while because this one can shift your feet around. The inchworm is a great way to break the monotony of the sitting and crunching core exercises. So you can get up, walk your hands out into a straight arm plank position, and then walk them back. The core is used mostly in those last few arm movements and lets up when you get closer to your feet. The side plank with leg raise is one of the hardest ones because your leg is really hard to lift in this position. But it is a great way to work your leg muscles as you're working your core as well. Burpees are a classic cardio exercise that also incorporate core. In this version, you're gonna jump, get down into a plank position, and then I finish with a push-up. For side plank crunches, you're gonna get into the forearm side plank position, and you're gonna raise your hips as you crunch down towards the mat. Alternating side plank is a nice and gentle core exercise where you switch between the left and right straight arm plank position. It's a great exercise to evenly work both sides of your body as well as the mid-core during the transition. Russian twists are another classic exercise. You're going to keep your feet up and you're going to twist back and forth while touching your hands to the mat. You're going to make sure that you're leaning back to at least create a 90-degree angle between your legs and your torso. This exercise is also equally effective when you keep your feet on the ground. You can either have your knees bent or keep your legs straight in front of you. And again, you're going to lean back with your torso and touch your hands on either side of the mat next to you. If you want to add some difficulty to your Russian twist, you can add some weight. I'm using a kettlebell, but you can also use a water bottle, a shoe, anything that has a little bit of weight. V-snaps are a tough one to get right, but if you do them quick, you can get a nice, powerful core exercise. With your legs as straight as you can, you're going to, in one motion, snap your torso and your legs up so your hands meet your feet. A V-sit is a very static position where you keep your legs straight and you put your body into a V position with your torso and your legs. Unlike Russian twist, you're going to try to be more than 90 degrees. Sit-ups are one of the most basic but a surprisingly difficult core exercise. Put something on your feet in order to make sure that your legs aren't doing any work during the core exercise. From there, you're simply going to sit up and down. This one I find gets really hard as you do it for a longer period of time. If you do these ones right, gymnastic sit-ups are the hardest core exercise you can do. Basically, you're going to do a sit-up without weight on your feet, and you're going to flex your core so hard that your sit-up becomes really difficult. You're also going to flex your core on the way down. This is definitely an advanced core exercise because you need to know exactly how to flex your core and how to make it difficult for yourself to do the sit-up. It's also one that you want to do early in your routine because it does require a lot of focus and energy. Boats are just like V-sits, except you're going to bend your legs so that they're at a 90-degree angle. For the 1, 2, 3 stretch exercise, you're going to do 3 crunches, and then you're going to extend your body with your arms above you and your legs in front of you. Side snaps are a very complex exercise, but just like V-snaps are very powerful and effective at getting your obliques. For side snaps, you're gonna lay on your side with one arm straight out to keep balance. With your free arm, you're gonna snap up and meet your hands to your toes, and make sure you use that other hand for stability. For the hollow body hold, you're going to extend your hands and your legs, and you're going to brace your core. This exercise is a lot easier if you put your hands under your glutes and just extend your legs. If I'm fresh, I'll have my arms up ahead of me. If it's a later exercise in my routine, I'll put my hands under my legs and still get a really good core exercise. Butterflies are in the same sort of hollow body position, except you're fluttering your legs up and down. And again, this becomes easier if you just sit on your hands. Crossovers are the same idea, and instead of fluttering your legs, you're going to cross them over and under each other. Again, easier when you sit on your hands. Leg lifts are a little more difficult, where you are raising and lowering your legs. When you get to the bottom, you want to hold it for a second and then bring it back up. Again, hands under your glutes or not. The classic crunch, you're going to put your hands behind your head. You're going to look up and try to get your nose as high as possible. To add difficulty, you can go faster or you can hold the top position for longer. For toe touches, you're gonna have your legs straight up in the air and you're going to attempt to touch your feet. This essentially forces you to do a crunch, but gives you an objective to try to hit. For wide leg crunches, you're gonna separate your legs and do a crunch through them. This is gonna force you to do your crunch forward instead of up. For reverse crunches, you're gonna lie on your back and you're gonna force your butt up off the ground. You're gonna make sure that your legs don't go further than 90 degrees from your torso. You shouldn't be able to get your butt too much off the mat, and if you are, your legs are probably coming backwards too much. For knee to toe, you're gonna lift your legs so they're 90 degrees and you're going to slide your hands from your knees to your toes. Again, this is going to get you to do a crunch with an objective. Dead bug is a complicated but extremely effective core exercise. You're gonna lie with one leg raised and at 90 degrees and that same arm behind your head. At the same time, you're gonna meet your opposite hand and leg to each other and then lower them. This is essentially a half hollow body hold. When you get to the bottom of each rep, you're gonna hold it for a second and then bring it back up. This one's great because your core has no choice but to be activated. For heel touches, you're gonna have your feet flat on the ground, and you're going to twist from side to side, getting your hands to touch your heels. Make sure you shift your heels forward or backward in order to make it so that your hands can just barely touch your heels. You don't want to make it too easy for yourself. For around the world, you're going to lie with your feet flat on the ground, you're going to cross your hands across your chest, and you're going to do circles with your shoulders. This is a great oblique and main core exercise. Just make sure you switch directions halfway through. This one again gets tiring the longer you do it. For bicycle crunches, which happen to be my favorite exercise, you're going to interlock your hands behind your head and, as if you're riding a bicycle, take turns extending and bending your knees. At the same time, reach one elbow to the opposite leg. You're gonna make sure your shoulders are off the ground the entire time. I find that bicycle crunches are just as hard when you keep your feet on the ground. In this version, you're not gonna be able to touch your elbow to your knee. So you're gonna focus on extending your elbow as close as you can to your knee and getting that other elbow down to the floor. Micro crunches are very fast, small crunches. These get you pumped real quick and can get very, very tiring the longer you do them. For touch and stretch, you're going to crunch as you meet your fingers together and then stretch back as if you're doing the hollow hot body position with your legs bent at 90 degrees. Every time you touch your fingers, make sure you're very precise and you only touch your middle fingers to each other. This will make sure that you hold that top crunch a little bit longer in order to get more of a burn on this exercise. Windshield wipers are often performed on a bar, but they can be done on the ground as well. You're going to lay your hands flat on either side of you for stability, and you're going to rotate your legs while keeping them together from side to side. If you press down too much on the ground with your hands, you won't be using your obliques quite as much. So you want to make sure you're really activating your core as you're doing this exercise and pushing with your obliques to get your legs back up to the initial position. For bridges, you're gonna lie on your shoulders and you're going to do a hip thrust up into a straight position. Core is activated more when you do it over and over instead of just holding the position. Finally, Superman, our 50th exercise. You're going to lay on your stomach and lift your legs and your arms up while keeping your entire body straight and activated, just like Superman. I hope you found at least one core exercise in here that you might want to try, and leave us a comment if you think of any other core exercises.